Our next Hall of Famer here in the class of 2017, Steve Hatchell, administration, class of 1970. Steve can trace his roots to the University of Colorado, where he got his first taste of working in sports, not in uniform. He was serving as the head student manager for the football team. After graduating from CU in 1970, he was on the fast track in sports administration, as he was named an assistant to athletic director Eddie Crowder at the time. Over the course of the next 7 years, he was the director of equipment and grounds, as well as serving as co-sports information director for 2 years. He left CU in 1976 to become the assistant athletic director for external affairs and SID at Colorado State, of which we forgive him tonight. That was too easy, wasn't it? Steve currently in his 13th year as the president and chief executive officer of the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame. He works for a Hall of Fame, and now he is in the Hall of Fame here at the University of Colorado. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Hatchell.
Mark, thank you so much. Well, you didn't think I'd come here unprepared, so I work for Chuck Ninus, who said, Hatchell, you ought to be able to write the minutes to a meeting before you go to it. So I came prepared. This has been a wonderful time, an absolutely wonderful time. Big thank you to Rick George, who is, for you who don't know it, is one of the great athletic directors in the country right now. He heads up the association of all athletic directors in providing a steady hand when we need it in college athletics. He's a wonderful friend and a visionary, and he works hard. And when I got that phone call from him, I truly sat there and said, he's kidding. I thought he was calling up for some other reason. When he said, you're in the CU Hall of Fame, I really couldn't believe it. So thank you so much, Rick. To Dave Platty, longtime friend, the best Colorado's ever had in that position, period, and the best in the country. Just a great friend. And to Scott McMichael, Scott, thank you for providing all of the warmth and friendship to all of us old Lettermen as we try to circle back to CU. And thank you, Aaron, for all of the things that you do. We appreciate you. So the story goes this way. The best way I could tell you this is that a long time ago, when I was in school here and I was a journalism major, the Denver Post on Christmas Day or the day before Christmas ran a full image on the whole page. And it was a Christmas tree with ornaments, or it was a mountain scene or whatever. And from a distance, you'd say, well, that's sort of interesting. It was the whole page. But if you looked at it real carefully and you brought it up close, you could see that every line, every part of that image was made up of the names of all of the people who had been in that sports page, who had been writers, photographers, all the people that made a difference. The Denver Post at that time was absolutely a fantastic sports page. So if you keep that in mind a little bit as I talk about all of the benefits that I've had in the time that I was here. My folks are not with us any longer. I went to Golden High School. My folks were absolutely fantastic, but my extended, go Demons, that's correct. My brother Denny is here from Winston-Salem. Denny, thank you, a CU graduate. My sister Marianne and her husband Jim are here from Littleton. Julie and her husband Nick are here from St. Louis. And representing my sister Georgia and her husband Hugh, who unfortunately could not be here, are their daughters Kate and DJ is a CU grad. I'm really proud of all of you, and I'm so proud and tickled to have you here tonight. Thank you. Many of you have asked about my boys, and as I've sent out some pictures, all of you who know Ron Scott, he never misses an opportunity. I sent him a picture of Jonathan and I, and he said, he looks studly. He said, that's not a word we'd use with you, Hatchell. So the pride, my pride, and resumes that are fantastic. They're wonderful people. Both of my boys, Matthew and Jonathan, if you please stand. Thank you. We appreciate you guys. Matt's wife, Wendy, is not here. She's home with our two awesome grandkids, Reva and Booker Steve. And frankly, if Booker were here, there wouldn't be anything on any of these tables. They would have been wiped out. You know, for a 3-year-old, he's just hell on wheels. And a big thank you to my wife, Patty. One of the greatest gifts that I got from CU was meeting Patty when she came here to get her doctorate. It's been 46 years and a journey that's taken us to Boulder, Fort Collins, Kansas City, Atlanta, Miami, and Dallas now for the last 25 years. Thank you, Patty, for your love and support. I'm so proud that we've been able to do all the things that we do. Thank you very much. So all of these things intertwine, and I've now been in this business for a very long time, and so I like to think of myself as I am CU. I have to give a talk in Little Rock to the Touchdown Club of all of Arkansas on Monday, and everybody always gets it under their breath. They said, bring your best Colorado stories. And this has been going on for decades, and I'm really proud of it. But let me tell you where it started. When I was in high school, I hated football. My dad and I walked the neighborhood, and he'd say, you can't quit. And I told him, I hate sophomore football. I hate playing on Saturday mornings. I don't like any part of this. He had played football himself and said, well, we're not going to quit in the middle of the year. You're going to stay with it. And then my coach, Dave Skeen, intervened. And I'm so blessed. David is here tonight, still with us. And David turned around and said, you're going to be a starter. You're going to be a game captain. And all of a sudden the light went on. And he helped me with a lot of other things, such as to get into the university, get into Northwestern University after my junior year of high school in journalism, because Dave Skeen said, here's how you're going to expand yourself. It was a big deal now, and it was a big deal then. He always told me to be a leader. He also could get in my face and say, Hatchell, give me some clue you know what you're doing out there, so I know how to coach you. A coach is a coach. But it was Dave Skeen who said, I know you and your dad are looking around the country where to go to college. You got a lot of opportunities, but let me tell you, I think the young guy that's coaching at Colorado is for real. He's very special. When Eddie Crowder came here, he was 32 years old. He'd been in a coaching tree under Bud Wilkinson, Red Blake at Army, that was the most fantastic in the country. It still is awesome. And Eddie had a staff that included Augie Tamarillo and Jim Mora, Don James, Jerry Claiborne, Hall of Fame coaches. Not just coaches, they were Hall of Fame coaches. And you can learn from them. And at 19 years of age, I learned a lot from them. So I come to CU, and I get to do a ton of things, not just in football. I was a scout team quarterback. I got knocked around a lot, and absolutely loved every minute of it. Let me tell you what pressure is. Pressure is having a guy come off the field and say, Hatchell, this helmet doesn't fit. Hatchell, my chin strap's broken. Hatchell, my face mask broke. You got to get that done in a millisecond. That's pressure, and you learn that early. And then I ran into Bill Marolt. Bill Marolt has a resume that's fantastic, but he's a best friend. Bill Marolt has done so much in his life that when I turned around and saw his enthusiasm and saw the way he handled things in his organization, said, I'm going to hitch my wagon to him. And Bill and I have had a chance to be at Olympic Games together. You see the picture. We did see the United States beat Russia in the hockey game in 1980. He helped bring the only national championship to Colorado by digging in for Coach McCartney. Said, this is our guy for the future, when it was hard to do. And then he went on to have unparalleled success, not only with U.S. Ski and Snowboard Association, but with the Olympic Committee. Bill's a dear friend, so thank you, Bill. Where I am now at the National Football Foundation, and we're 70 years old this year, we talk about the values of the game of football. And there's a lot of negative out there. We give out millions of dollars to scholarships every year to the best of the best. Not only guys going in the Hall of Fame, but our Scholar Athlete program recognizes those who played at the highest level, succeeded academically, and are now leaders in our country. People like Mike Rawlings, who's the mayor of Dallas, and Mark Harmon, who you see on TV, and the list goes on and on. Astronauts, leaders in business, military people. They played football and say football got them to where they are. The best of the best of those is a Colorado Buff. And he's here tonight, and it's Joe Romig. Joe, thank you for providing the way for all of that. You can't give any more awards to Joe. The NCAA, academia have recognized him, and he wasn't a one-time, he was a two-time first-team All-American. So thank you, Joe. And there's so many others here tonight. Talk about great people. Joe Rittmaster and Ron Scott from the '67 team. You think that's not important? All you guys that played later on, let me tell you what it was. 65, 66, 67, those guys on that team said, we're going to make a difference. And in 1967, they played in the Bluebonnet Bowl and beat Ted Hendricks and the University of Miami. There were 7 bowl games back then, 7. And the University of Colorado created a platform that said, this is where we're going to go in football. And so those guys got it done. And Phil Irwin is here. The only person in this room tonight to have his picture on the cover of Sports Illustrated is Phil Irwin. Why? Because Colorado in 1970 beat Penn State, who was on the 36-game win streak. And they had Franco Harris and Lydell Mitchell and Jack Ham. They had great, great players. And Phil Irwin was the leader of that Colorado team that took them on, as was Herb Orvis, the most recent person we put in the Hall of Fame from Colorado. But there are others in other sports. Bruce Gamble here tonight. There's 20 NCAA championships represented by the University of Colorado in skiing. In the Pac-12 conference, that represents 4% of all of their NCAA championships, and they're the leader in the country. Colorado makes a difference. To Jack Mills and all the help he provided to me, and thank you for introducing me to this, Jack. To Craig Thompson, the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference, who Rick talked about earlier, was on our staff when we were at the Metro Conference. We were there for 4 years, and we had teams in the Final Four. 2 out of those 4 years almost had 2 teams, and Louisville won the '86 Final Four. Craig's a great leader in the country and great friends like Charlie Carr. And along the way, I've been blessed with wonderful people like Rich Young. Rich Young is one of the top 10 sports lawyers in the entire world, not just the United States, in the world, and is a great friend and a great mentor. He's not afraid to pick up the phone and call and say, hey, have you thought about this? And what he does internationally and what he does nationally is spectacular. He's a great friend. And Gene DiFilippo, here tonight, one of the most fantastic athletic directors in the history of the country, is here tonight. Came all the way from Boston to be here. He's a member of our board of directors. The best 6 years that I had as I was making these moves was at the Orange Bowl. I was there for 6 years, and we got to do a ton of things, many things you can't believe. The Orange Bowl people are the best people that you could meet. They were smart, they were intuitive, they worked hard, they cared about the game. They didn't care about doing anything for themselves. 2 people from the Orange Bowl are here tonight, came from Miami. Past president, one of the great leaders of the Orange Bowl, Bob Epling, thank you. Thank you for being here. And Eric Palms is the executive director of the Orange Bowl, came all the way from Miami. The best there is. Thank you, guys. When Lou Holtz got after me, both of those times when we had Colorado and Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, and I looked around to see if Bob was going to help me out, because Lou thought I was giving some benefits to Colorado. You know, it was, well, boo-hoo. So I looked around for Bob. Where's Bob? Bob had disappeared. Hatch, you're on your own. So thank you, Lou. I've been at the National Football Foundation now for 13 years. Archie Manning is our chairman. Our board of directors is made up of people such as George Steinbrenner before he passed away, but Tim Cook of Apple, Jeff Immelt of GE, Kathy Murphy of Fidelity Investing, the president of Michigan State, etc. Powerful board. And we've been able to move the dial because of 3 wonderful guys who've been on the staff and have gone all the way down the road with me. Matthew Sine, Ron Delatosh, and Will Rudd. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all you do. So the three key people that I know I'm going on here make the most difference. First of all is Patty. Patty's been my side up and down. We even survived Hurricane Andrew when we were in Miami, which is something you don't want anybody to ever go through, but we battled through it. And then the Eddie Crowder. I absolutely loved Eddie Crowder. And it was Eddie Crowder when I graduated who called me and said, Hatch, what are you doing? And I said, well, you know, I've got a couple of job offers and I'm getting ready to leave. And he said, I'll buy you dinner. And we went to the Cork and Cleaver and we talked about all the games. And keep in mind, I saw over 100 football games during my time here at CU. Eddie said, look, I'm now the athletic director and head football coach. I need you to stay. Can you stay 1 year? And one of the jobs I wanted to do was an advertising agency in New York. And I called him and said, can I stay 1 year? Well, 1 year became a career in athletics. But what I had a chance to do with Eddie Crowder was absolutely fantastic. At the age of 19, he pitched me the keys to the bus and said, you got to do all of this stuff. And it was fantastic. And I could go on about Eddie, but I loved Eddie. And then, professionally, working for Chuck Ninus might have been the single best step I ever took. To step off that curb and go to work for Chuck at the Big 8 was incredible. Rick pointed him out as not only being a leader in intercollegiate athletics, but in 1984, he led the charge for Oklahoma and Georgia to break the grip that the NCAA had on television so that schools could make more money, could have more coverage than ever before. And look what we have today. It's fantastic. But it was more than that. Chuck is tough. He's decisive. He would always tell us, I didn't hire you to do the job. I hired you to create something new. And we were always a small staff, and we worked really hard. And he's just the person I owe so much to, just a very dear friend. So thank you, Chuck. I appreciate that. I always loved being known as a Ninus guy. And when you're out representing a conference and you make a decision at a tournament, you make a decision at a game, and somebody gets in your face and says, you're nothing but an effing Ninus guy, I'd turn around and say, I am a Ninus guy. Believe it, all the way. So I owe Colorado a lot. I was here 10 years. I got a degree. I met Patty. Great friends for life. A platform to grow, learn, and make mistakes. Launched my career. Because of all of you who made this nomination and this opportunity for me, I'm excited, grateful. I'm blessed with so many friends. So many friends here tonight. Thank you. I accept this on behalf of all of the people that worked hard to create that image. Not of Steve Hatchell, but if you look into that, you'd say this image is created by all of these wonderful people, all of you who are here tonight. I love you all. Go Buffs. Thank you.